gliding into the stratosphere. Who thought it would be possible to get nearly into space without an engine? Do you know what gliders can do? Gliders are aeroplanes that don't have an engine, so they rely on pilot skill and rising air to keep them flying. But they can go far, they can go fast, and they can go high. What do you think the furthest a glider can go is? Well, the world record is 3,008 kilometres, which if you started from England you could just get as far as Egypt. That's a long way without an engine. Fastest? Well, most gliders have a top speed around 180 miles an hour, 250 kilometres an hour, faster than a landing speed of a jumbo jet. And the highest? Well, the glider on the right there, which is called Perlan, is investigating getting up to the edge of space, and that glider's been up to 23,000 metres, and most airliners fly at less than half that height, so that's really quite high, and that's what it looks like from up there. So are you ready to fly high into the stratosphere? It's experiment time. We're going to do 2 experiments to show that air has weight that creates air pressure. And then we're going to learn what this means for pilots who are flying high. And this picture here is of a glider pilot. She's up at about 3,500 metres and looking down on all of the clouds. So experiment 1, you'll see that air has weight. And experiment 2, you'll show that that creates air pressure and that decreases with height. Now, over to you for your challenge. Good luck. Well, you've done your experiments, and what have we learned? We learned that air has weight, even though we can't see it or feel it, and because it has weight, gravity means it pushes down on what's below it, and that creates air pressure. And we learnt that air pressure, like the water pressure in our demonstration, decreases with height because there's less of it on top to push down. So what, eh? What does this mean for pilots? Well, let's just have a look. And here's a picture of the Earth, and we've got the sea level down at the bottom there. Then we've got Mount Everest on the left here. That's about 8 kilometres high, Mount Everest, 5 miles high. So most gliders and light aircraft are flying between sea level and about 5 kilometres. Jet airliners, as we said earlier on, they get up to about 10 kilometres up. And they're in what's called the troposphere, which is the bit of the atmosphere in which most of our weather happens. Above that is the stratosphere. Now, you've probably heard of the stratosphere, but perhaps you didn't know where it was. So this is when we start getting high enough that we are getting towards the edge of space. And spy planes are up there between 18 and 20 kilometres high, looking down and keeping an eye on whatever it is they're looking at below. And Perlan, the glider that we saw earlier on, getting up to 23 kilometres. And as you get higher up, there's less and less air above, and so the air pressure is reducing. But how much? That's the question. So let's take ourselves down to sea level here, and here we are with the amount of air that we've got down at sea level. 1. How much do you think there might be 5 kilometres up? Well, actually it's about 0.54 the amount of air and the amount of oxygen, which is what we're looking for to breathe at 5 kilometres, so just over half. By the time you get up to 10 kilometres, it's at 0.26, so you've only got about a quarter the amount of air to breathe up there that you have down at sea level. And so somewhere between 5 and 10 kilometres, it starts to get quite difficult to breathe. If you got up to 20 kilometres, you've got 0.05, which is 1/20th of the amount of air that there is down at sea level. Now, obviously, you would really have a problem with that. If you got up to 30 kilometres, there's really not very much at all. So, what does this mean for pilots? It means that at height, we don't have enough oxygen, and we need to have additional oxygen. And you've probably been on an aircraft where, when they're doing the safety briefing, You get told that if cabin pressure reduces, oxygen masks will come down, and you must always put them on before attempting to help anyone else. Now we're going to leave you to have a discussion about how else you might get additional oxygen at height, and who else uses it, when and where, and how they might do that. So over to you for that discussion. And meanwhile, here's a picture of the Perland glider. Now that's been up in the stratosphere and it's just coming back down after doing some flight tests. That's over South America, which is where they've been doing the tests. And they're actually looking to see what weather there is, how high it is, and doing a lot of meteorological research up there. So over to you for the discussion, and we'll be back shortly. You can find out more about gliding at these addresses. They're all in your student worksheet. Not just gliding, but all types of aviation. The sort of things you can fly and the sort of jobs you can do in and around aviation. It's not just about being a pilot. There's a whole range of jobs there. And you can meet some of the people doing some of these things at the STEM link at the bottom there. There are people young and old, women and men, who are all real people working in that, who might just inspire you to have a go yourself. We hope you've had fun today, and we hope to see you on an airfield soon.